What if I told you that the reason you're unhappy isn't because you have too little, but because you have too much, too many choices, too many people, too many possibilities, and instead of feeling lucky, you feel anxious, confused, and never satisfied? Today, we're going to talk about the surprising truth about happiness and options, and why the very thing you think will make you free is actually keeping you trapped. We often think of choice as the ultimate form of freedom. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with endless decisions: which clothes to wear, what to eat, which career path to follow, whom to date, how to spend our time, and even what version of ourselves to present online. On the surface, it feels empowering. After all, shouldn't having the power to choose make us happier? But the truth is far more complicated. The more options we have, the heavier our minds feel. Freedom, as it turns out, doesn't come from abundance. It comes from clarity and focus. Each new option we consider forces our brain to evaluate potential outcomes, weigh consequences, and imagine hypothetical, better possibilities. While one choice might seem good enough, the awareness of all the alternatives lurking just out of reach creates an invisible pressure, a sense that our current decision may not be the best. Over time, this pressure accumulates, turning what should feel like liberty into a constant, exhausting form of anxiety. This phenomenon is especially visible in relationships and social interactions. Dating apps, for example, were designed to expand possibilities and give people the freedom to meet anyone at any time. But what actually happens is the opposite. Instead of feeling liberated, many end up feeling trapped in a cycle of indecision and doubt. You may find someone kind, caring, and genuinely compatible with you, yet you hesitate because you can't stop imagining, what if there's someone better? That endless loop of comparison doesn't just delay choices, it erodes satisfaction, leaving you perpetually restless. The irony is striking. The very thing that promises freedom, the option to choose endlessly, becomes a chain that keeps your mind spinning, incapable of fully appreciating the present moment or committing to what you already have. Even in careers and personal goals, the illusion of endless options can be paralyzing. With so many paths, programs, opportunities, and success stories at our fingertips, we begin to doubt every decision we make. Each step forward comes with an almost subconscious question: is this really the best choice? As a result, energy that could be used to build mastery and depth instead disperses across multiple possibilities, leaving us scattered, stressed, and often exhausted. The anxiety doesn't come from failure. It comes from awareness, from knowing that out there, somewhere, other possibilities exist that might have been better, faster, or more glamorous. It's a psychological trap that disguises itself as freedom, convincing us that happiness is only a decision away, while quietly keeping it just out of reach. One of the most subtle yet powerful traps in modern life is the constant belief that there is always something better waiting just around the corner. We scroll endlessly through social media, comparing our lives to highlight reels of friends, influencers, and strangers who seem to have it all. We see new job opportunities, new relationships, new experiences, and new lifestyles that promise more excitement, more success, more fulfillment. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, this belief begins to erode the satisfaction we could feel right now. We stop appreciating what we have and start imagining what we could have. Every choice we make, no matter how good, begins to feel incomplete because our minds are preoccupied with the possibilities of what might be better, faster, or more impressive. This illusion of something better creates a perpetual state of longing where no moment, no achievement, and no relationship ever feels truly enough. and the happiness that should naturally arise from gratitude and presence is quietly stolen from us. This effect is particularly dangerous in relationships. When someone treats us well, loves us, and is consistent, our attention often drifts toward the potential of someone else who might be more exciting, more attractive, or more successful. We find ourselves asking questions like, am I missing out? Is there someone who could give me more? Even without acting on these thoughts, they slowly chip away at our contentment. We stop feeling the joy of the person in front of us and start imagining a fantasy that only exists in our minds. This mindset transforms genuine connection into a transaction where relationships are valued not for love, loyalty, or companionship, but for potential gains and upgrades. Happiness becomes conditional, and the ability to be present with what we already have is replaced by restlessness and dissatisfaction. The illusion of something better also shows up in career choices and personal goals. You may achieve a milestone, earn a promotion, or complete a project, but instead of celebrating, your mind immediately shifts to the next possibility, a bigger role, a higher salary, a more prestigious project. The sense of accomplishment fades quickly because you are already comparing it to a future ideal. This habit of comparison and anticipation creates a subtle yet persistent anxiety. Your mind stops feeling satisfied with progress and starts obsessively chasing an idealized version of life that may never exist. In doing so, it steals the joy that comes from effort, growth, and small victories, leaving a person who seems successful on the outside but is internally restless, constantly questioning if they could be happier somewhere else, with someone else, or doing something else in a world where options are endless. Commitment often feels like a trap. We're constantly told that keeping our options open is the key to freedom, that saying yes to one path might mean missing out on countless others. But what most people fail to realize is that endless choice doesn't actually give freedom, it gives restlessness. When nothing is final and every possibility is left unexplored, the mind is never truly at ease. Every decision becomes tentative. Every action is accompanied by doubt, and even the things we love start to feel incomplete. This constant weighing, comparing, and second-guessing drains mental energy and creates a persistent background anxiety, a quiet tension that never lets us fully relax. On the other hand, commitment, whether to a relationship, a career, a personal project, or even a daily routine, brings a profound sense of peace that is impossible to achieve while endlessly scanning for alternatives. When we commit, we signal to our own minds that this choice matters, that we are willing to invest our energy, time, and attention, and that we are ready to fully embrace the consequences, both good and bad. Commitment is not about limitation, it is about focus. It allows the mind to stop wandering and start building. Think about relationships. When you fully commit to someone, you are no longer distracted by what could have been. You stop comparing and start appreciating. You begin to invest emotionally, to nurture connection, and to create a depth of intimacy that is impossible if your attention is divided. The paradox is clear. While commitment may initially feel like restriction, it actually expands emotional freedom. The peace that comes from knowing where you stand and who you stand with is profound. It quiets the noise of what ifs and allows the mind to rest in the certainty of its choice. Endless choice, by contrast, fuels perpetual dissatisfaction. Every moment becomes a silent question mark. Every decision, a potential regret, and every relationship or opportunity a test against an imaginary, possibly better alternative. This same principle applies to careers and personal growth. When you commit to a goal or path, you give yourself the chance to master it. You allow yourself the time, focus, and energy to go deeper, to learn more, and to achieve more. Without commitment, even the most exciting opportunities feel shallow. The mind flits from one thing to another, anxious that somewhere else lies something better, leaving you constantly unsettled. Commitment allows for growth, stability, and peace, while endless options trap you in a cycle of comparison, distraction, and internal chaos. Social media was created to connect us, but over time it has become one of the biggest sources of comparison and mental exhaustion. Every time we scroll, we are confronted with carefully curated snapshots of other people's lives, perfect vacations, flawless appearances, exciting relationships, and apparent achievements. Our brains are wired to compare, and when we are constantly bombarded with these images, comparison becomes automatic. What starts as casual browsing can quickly spiral into self-doubt and dissatisfaction. Even when we are aware that social media is a highlight reel and not real life, the sheer volume of options and possibilities we see makes it almost impossible to feel content with our own choices. We begin to wonder, am I doing enough? Am I successful enough? Is my relationship exciting enough? Am I living the life I should be living? These questions, amplified by endless scrolling, create a subtle but persistent stress that most of us don't even notice until it has already taken hold. The danger of social media is not just comparison, it's the illusion of unlimited options. With a single swipe or click, we can explore alternative lifestyles, potential partners, job opportunities, hobbies, and even personal identities. In theory, this should feel liberating. In reality, it overwhelms the mind. Each new profile or post adds another possibility to consider, and the subconscious belief that there might be something better constantly undermines satisfaction with what we already have. We stop being present in our own lives because we are mentally exploring an infinite number of alternatives. Relationships feel fragile, careers feel insufficient, and achievements feel small, not because they are, but because we are perpetually measuring them against an endless stream of hypothetical better outcomes. The brain interprets these options as decisions that require evaluation, which consumes energy and reduces our capacity for contentment. The impact on mental health is profound. Anxiety, low self-esteem, and decision fatigue all thrive in an environment of constant comparison. Even our personal goals begin to feel confusing because we are exposed to so many possibilities that it becomes difficult to commit to one path. The paradox is that social media was meant to expand our connections and opportunities, but for many, it has done the opposite. It has made us feel smaller, less satisfied, and constantly restless. We begin to chase validation and external approval instead of cultivating inner peace and gratitude. Instead of appreciating what we have, we measure ourselves against a never-ending feed of what others have chosen, what others are doing, and what we might be missing. In essence, social media doesn't just fuel comparison, it fuels the endless illusion of options, leaving the mind exhausted, the heart restless, and happiness just out of reach. Happiness is often thought of as something that comes from external circumstances, wealth, success, relationships, or recognition. But the truth is far simpler and far deeper. True happiness is cultivated internally, and one of the most powerful tools for nurturing it is gratitude. Gratitude shifts the mind from what is lacking to what is already present. It allows us to notice the small moments of beauty, kindness, and joy that are woven into everyday life. When we consciously acknowledge what we have, our health, our relationships, our achievements, our personal growth, we create a mental space that is rich and fulfilling. Gratitude grounds us in the present moment and reduces the constant noise of what ifs and what could be. It reminds us that contentment is not about acquiring more, but about appreciating what is already ours. The simple act of recognizing even the smallest blessings triggers a cascade of positive emotions, reinforcing a sense of well being that no external validation can replicate. On the other hand, comparison has the opposite effect. Comparison turns our focus outward instead of inward. We look at others' lives, whether on social media, at work, or even in our personal circles, and measure ourselves against them. We begin to evaluate our achievements, appearance, relationships, and even our happiness based on external standards that are often arbitrary, incomplete, or unattainable. This creates a sense of inadequacy and fuels the belief that we are not enough. Unlike gratitude, which expands the mind and heart, comparison contracts it. It makes us feel restless, anxious, and perpetually dissatisfied. No matter what we have or accomplish, the moment we start comparing, it feels insufficient. The irony is that the very measure we use to evaluate ourselves is often distorted or curated, yet we let it dictate our inner sense of worth. Comparison also undermines the investment required for meaningful growth. When we are constantly looking sideways at what others are doing, we rarely dedicate the time, energy, and focus necessary to fully develop our own potential. Gratitude, however, encourages reflection, presence, and acceptance. It allows us to savor the journey, to acknowledge progress, and to celebrate victories, both big and small, without feeling the need to compete. Gratitude transforms ordinary moments into experiences of joy, whereas comparison erodes even extraordinary achievements, leaving the mind restless and the heart dissatisfied. Over time, the habitual practice of gratitude creates a resilient sense of contentment, while comparison keeps us locked in a cycle of longing and discontent that no external success can ever resolve. In a culture obsessed with novelty, it's easy to believe that fulfillment comes from experiencing as many things as possible. We are told to try every career path, explore every relationship, travel to every destination, and constantly reinvent ourselves in search of excitement. On the surface, variety feels stimulating. It promises adventure, spontaneity, and endless possibilities. But this constant chase for new experiences often leaves us feeling empty, restless, and disconnected. The truth is that happiness and fulfillment are rarely found in the quantity of our experiences. They are found in the quality, the depth, and the attention we give to the people, passions, and commitments we choose to invest in. When we spread ourselves too thin, our energy, focus, and emotional presence are divided, leaving no space to truly appreciate or master any single aspect of life. Depth, on the other hand, requires intentionality, patience, and devotion, and it is through this depth that true fulfillment emerges. Depth in relationships, for instance, is vastly more rewarding than variety. A surface level connection with many people may feel exciting and fun at first, but it rarely offers intimacy, trust, or emotional security. When we invest deeply in one relationship, we learn to navigate challenges, communicate authentically, and cultivate a bond that is resilient and meaningful. The time, effort, and emotional labor that go into nurturing a single relationship create a sense of belonging and stability that cannot be replicated by fleeting interactions or casual connections. Similarly, in careers or creative pursuits, mastery comes from focus and repetition rather than constant switching. A person who dedicates themselves fully to developing a skill or building a career path gains confidence, competence, and a sense of purpose, whereas someone who flits from one opportunity to another may accumulate experiences but rarely achieves mastery or satisfaction. The pursuit of variety also undermines our ability to be present. When the mind is constantly scanning for the next experience, we fail to notice the richness of the current one. Moments that could have been profound and transformative are reduced to fleeting distractions. Depth requires slowing down, committing to one path, and fully immersing ourselves in it. It allows us to uncover layers of meaning, to discover hidden strengths, and to experience genuine joy that arises from growth and connection. Variety may entertain, but depth fulfills. It turns ordinary experiences into extraordinary ones, relationships into lifelong bonds, and work into meaningful contribution. In essence, fulfillment is not about how many things we do or how many options we explore. It is about how fully and intentionally we live each moment, how deeply we invest in the people and passions that matter, and how committed we are to cultivating richness in our own lives. At the end of the day, happiness is not found in endless options, constant comparisons, or the pursuit of something better. It is found in presence, in gratitude, and in the courage to commit. True fulfillment comes when we stop chasing every possibility and start investing deeply in the choices, people, and passions that align with our values. Freedom is not having infinite paths to follow. It is having the clarity and confidence to walk a single path with intention. The mind that is free from comparison, the heart that is rooted in gratitude, and the life that is lived with focus and depth will always find a peace that no number of options can ever give. Happiness is not a future reward. It is not a distant destination. It is the way we choose to engage with our life right now. When we stop looking sideways, stop measuring ourselves against illusions, and stop fearing commitment, we create space for real joy to grow. The more we cultivate depth over variety, presence over distraction, and gratitude over comparison, the more we realize that the life we have is already enough, and that this moment, right here, contains everything we have ever been searching for.